Hello, and welcome to Sarcastic Spinster, a PC-free zone, where I question the behavior of the minions of the Pussy Hat Goddess, aka the women's movement, because love her or hate her, we need to understand her. And as the midterm elections approach, we are just 2 weeks away now. Things are getting pretty interesting as far as what the minions of the Pussy Hat Goddess are up to and how they are presenting issues. They are doing a fairly decent job of setting a standard by which they can claim that their loss is illegitimate. And that's not to say I think they're, going to necessarily lose across the board, but since they still haven't figured out how they lost last time, they're worried. And I mean, they have good reason to be worried because they haven't figured out why they lost last time. And so they've doubled down on what alienated a lot of voters before, and they're alienating more. But the voters that they do have are highly motivated. And a midterm election often boils down to turnout. But they're already doing their voter suppression that rolls out every 2 freaking years. So any attempt to preserve the integrity of the voting process is seen as suppression by the minions of the Pussy Hat Goddess, and a lot of other minions as well. And yeah, I would say that there are people that are trying to suppress the vote. They are trying to suppress the dead vote. I mean, my mother was a Republican her whole life, but I'll guarantee you, if she votes this year, she'll be voting Democrat because she's no longer alive. And for some reason, the dead all appear to vote Democrat. I don't know why. I make no accusations as to why, but it is a curiosity. Is there something about death that suddenly makes you a Democrat, or is it how you were resurrected? They also are looking to suppress the illegal vote and the ineligible vote. So one of the things I saw that I actually, got a pretty big kick out of, because it's just this faux outrage over absolutely nothing. And it was a woman in Alabama running for some office. I don't know if she was the governor, senator, whatever, but she's running for some office. And said that she had discovered that thousands of people had been purged from the voter rolls. So I went and, read the article, because I like to read both sides of an issue. I like to assume that if I listen to one side, I'm not getting the whole story. So I went out and read and wanted to see what was actually going on, because it might have been a legitimate case of voter suppression, and we don't want that. We don't want the suppression of voters who are actually qualified based on their age and their citizenship and their residency to vote. I mean, they need to be able to do that. But there was no indication. She didn't even know why they were purged or how they were purged. She just knew they were purged. And the outrage of the minion of the Pussy Hat Goddess who had shared this story, I think it was Alyssa Milano, but it may have been Joy Reid, perhaps both of them, I don't know. But just so outraged. And I was sitting there reading that, and and one of the other things that was said was, her opponent has said that voting is a privilege. Like that was some, great, horrible thing. Well, guess what? Voting is a fucking privilege. It is a privilege. It is a privilege that we get based on our citizenship and based on our age. There are qualifiers as to who can vote. So, based on a definition that I gave in my last video, it qualifies as an enforceable privilege. It is a privilege. Yeah. So, outraged over the statement of fact, they do so love. The minions of the Pussycat Goddess loved to get outraged over this statement of just bald fact. Voting is a privilege. It's not a right. Doesn't apply to everybody. Not everybody in the world can vote in our elections. That's why it's a privilege. Okay, so then, yeah, voting is a privilege. And guess what? The Secretary of State has to routinely purge the voter rolls because people do crazy shit like move and die. I mean, I lived in upstate New York long time ago. I voted there. I was a registered voter in upstate New York. Does that mean I should still be on the voter rolls in upstate New York? I should still be able to just get an absentee ballot for New York and continue to vote for New York, even though I haven't lived there for, well over a decade? No. And you know what they did? They purged me from the freaking voter rolls because I am no longer eligible or qualified to enjoy the privilege of voting in New York. I vote in the state I currently live in. That's how it works. So yes, people have to be purged from the voter rolls. Or even just moving across town. It's going to change your polling station. You have to re-register to vote with your new address for your new polling station. So that means that your old address and your old registration have to be purged from the freaking system. Otherwise, somebody else can walk in pretending to be you and use your vote. And we get people who are not qualified to vote, who are not entitled to that privilege, voting. That's not good. It is not good to allow people who are not, who do not qualify to vote. And it is wrong to stop people who are qualified to vote from voting. Both of those things are true. And so the pursuit of one does not automatically attack the other. Purging the voter rolls does not necessarily stop qualified people from voting, so long as who is being purged are people who are no longer qualified, either through death or transfer. And there was no evidence in that article that any single person still living and still qualified to vote in that state at that location had been purged. None. Something else that happened, and this one definitely was Alyssa Milano tweeting out, and she did a retweet of this with just tacking on holy fucking shit. And it was the candidate in Georgia who was saying that he was concerned about his opponents basically get out the vote, that they were very concerned about that and what would happen if all of her followers decided to go ahead and exercise their right to vote. And to this, Alyssa Milano tweeted, holy fucking shit. And I don't understand what the holy fucking shit is all about in this. This is not something to get your knickers in a twist over. So basically, the guy is saying she's got a really effective get out the vote movement. That concerns me because, again, the midterms are all about voter turnout. And that's all he's saying. So, what's the impact going to be to us if they all show up at the polls? He's not saying we need to stop them. He's not saying we need to get them off the voter rolls. He's not saying anything bad about her. No. He's just saying, wow, this has been really effective. If all these people show up at the polls, we're in trouble. So what? Of course he's going to say that. You know, if it's all about, now stop. Down. Down. Come on. Of course he's going to be concerned. That is legitimately something to be concerned about. Stating that concern behind closed doors. So what? So what? But oh no, the minions are getting their knickers in a twist over that one. That is just, unbelievable. That, oh, it's so wrong. And it was what do we do if people choose to exercise their right? Like it was somehow he was trying to deny them their right to choose just by saying, what if they actually exercise it? Well, guess what? Most of the people of voting age in the country don't vote. Some people just don't pay any attention to politics. They're not informed, so they don't weigh in. I appreciate that. If you're not informed, it's probably the best thing for the country that you just sit it out. Now, I would encourage you to get informed and express your vote, but if you're just going to walk into the voting booth and willy-nilly pick somebody, then yeah, I think it's in the best interest of the country that you stay home. Shock, shock, shock. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying you should be disallowed from voting, but yeah, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, then yeah, just respect the rest of us and stay home. But again, I would encourage you to get informed and get out there and vote. But, so what? So big deal. Most of the people don't vote. So if these people decide to stay home, then, it's not as big of a threat as if they turn out. That's just politics. That's just logistics. That is just normal, everyday election talk. And if you really think that nobody on the other side of the aisle is having similar conversations behind closed doors, then you're freaking high and you need to put down the crack pipe. Because that is just, that's an important part of strategy, is the voter turnout. So to not discuss it is actually irresponsible. But let's use that as an example of voter suppression and why Stacey Abrams is going to lose. And who we can blame when we're putting on our pink pussy hats and taken to the streets, which they're already planning. By the way, I've already seen the plans for a big, huge march on Washington, D.C. in January for the Pussy Hat Goddess and her minions. So, they're not going to be satisfied no matter what, because Trump will still be president. Now, stop. Yes, this is pretty much my life. Okay, one of the other things I found that was really, really funny is a video going around for Beto O'Rourke, who is running against Ted Cruz in Texas for the Senate. And he's been sent just all kinds of money to try and turn Texas blue. And They compare him to JFK. It just, anyway, so with all of the talk that everybody's been given about Trump sending women back into the 50s, okay, because you hear that all the time. Trump wants to send women back to the 50s. For this video for Beto O'Rourke, there are 3 women dressed up in 50s clothing singing a parody of Leader of the Pack. So Beto O'Rourke has sent women back to the 50s. Now, add to that what they're singing about is not his policies, it's not his positions on things. It's about, oh, he was in a band and he drives a pickup truck and he played on stage with Willie Nelson and he's just cool because we're empty-headed women who can't make our decisions based on the issues. We've got to pick the cuter guy. What the fuck? And the minions are totally cool with this. At least I've not seen anything, come out in criticism of it. Though, to be fair to them, I've not seen any of them retweeting it. But it's awful. It's awful. But just, it makes women look just simplistic and thinking with our coochie. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I use when I go to vote. Mm-hmm. The body part that I make my decision with is my coochie, not my brain, right? Because I'm a woman, and for the minions, I boil down to my reproductive system and my cooch. Yay, minions. And then we get the celebrities that are getting involved in races that are not in their districts, not where they live. And when the celebrities come out and they do a get out the vote campaign and they're not telling people who to vote for, I'm cool with that. If you want to come out and do a get out the vote campaign and just tell people to go vote, talk about, how to educate yourself on the issues, where you would go to learn about all of the different candidates in the races in your area, to do all of that, but they're not picking a side. They're just encouraging people to participate in their civic responsibility. I am totally cool with that. More power to you, way to go. Great, thanks. But I do get a little annoyed when they start telling me how to vote in my district. And Bette Midler did that. And she's telling me who my senator is. And, all of this about why it is important for me, as a member of my state to vote for this person. Because, of course, just because this person is my senator doesn't mean that I actually know anything about them, right? No, I need to get that from Bette Midler, who lives in California or New York or wherever the hell she is, but it ain't the frickin' Midwest, I can tell you that. So, it's like, gee, Bet, have you ever actually been to my state? If you have been to my state, have you been anywhere outside the big cities in the state? Because this particular senator only cares about the people in the big cities and doesn't give a shit about the rest of us, and has made that abundantly clear over the years. But sure, I'll vote for that senator just because you told me to. And hey, it's almost Halloween, and I'm going to listen to a Sanderson sister, right? No, butt the fuck out. So they are setting the stage. Oh, another thing Bette Midler said, which I absolutely loved, which is not along the lines of the, telling people how to vote, but um she actually tweeted today that Trump probably paid the people in the caravan to come to the US so that he could rally up his base. So our president is encouraging I guess it's anywhere from 4 to 7,000 now, illegal immigrants to storm our borders as a gimmick to win the election. Now, wouldn't that be incredibly irresponsible? And the really funny thing is that there are people on the right who are saying the same thing about the left. So, but that just, that's that liberal logic. Yeah, that would make sense to do that. Yeah, it would really make sure that you were governing someplace that was stable and you didn't have to deal with a whole lot of domestic violence and economic issues. And yeah, that would be really smart in the long term. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. So just we talked about how they're setting themselves up. The minions of the Pussycat Goddess setting themselves up with excuses for why they lost that have absolutely nothing to do with the position that they took on policies. Because as far as they're concerned, again, anybody who doesn't believe what they believe is just a hater and less than human and can be mocked because they are so right and so morally superior to you that the only way they could possibly lose is because you cheated. So get ready. I don't know if the blue wave is coming or not. It's all gonna, at this point, it is a toss up. It's all gonna come down to turnout. Whoever has the most motivated base, it would not surprise me at all if this was record setting voter participation for a midterm. Um, and it's all going to be about get out the vote. So it's really whoever's voters show up at the polls, that's who's going to win. So this could go either way. You could have the blue wave or you could have a red wall. I just don't know. But they are making sure that they've got a really good excuse, something else to blame besides themselves for why they lost, should that happen. So, thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment and like, share, and subscribe below. And hashtag Pussycat Goddess, and something to think about.